Most riders destroy their clutch cables without ever touching them. Not through wear, but through the wrong cleaning method. A veteran Japanese technician once broke down exactly why Western shops get this wrong, and it changed how 10,000 riders maintain their bikes. Here are 10 secrets that go against everything your local shop teaches and why the fix costs less than lunch. Number 1. The dry wipe delusion. Most riders pull the clutch lever, see grime on the cable housing, and reach straight for a rag. Wrong move. Here's what nobody explains at the counter. Clutch cables are built from dozens of braided steel strands wrapped inside a plastic or vinyl outer sheath. And dry wiping doesn't remove grit, it drives it deeper into the sheath, where it grinds against the strands every time you pull the lever. Riders who dry wipe their cables report stiff, notchy clutch pull within 4,000 miles. The Japanese approach starts differently. Disconnect the cable at the lever end only, never at the engine side first, and let it hang freely before any cleaning begins. This lets contaminants fall away from the strand bundle instead of being pushed further in. It sounds almost too simple, but preparation is the difference between a cable that lasts a season and one that lasts 5 years. Number 2. The solvent trap. Auto and Moto parts stores sell aerosol degreasers and contact cleaners for around $12 a can, marketed as an instant fix for sticky cables. What they don't mention is that these solvents strip the factory lubricant right out of the braided core, and once that's gone, moisture gets in and rust starts from the inside, invisible until the cable seizes completely. A shop owner once showed a batch of cables that looked spotless on the outside, but had rusted solid internally within 2 months of solvent use. The Japanese method instead uses a warm mixture of distilled water and a few drops of neutral, non-detergent soap, the same concentration many use for delicate optics. It lifts road grime without touching the internal lubricant. Cost difference is dramatic. $12 a can versus roughly $2 worth of soap and water that lasts for a dozen cleanings. But choosing the right cleaner means nothing if the cable isn't given time to actually release what's trapped inside it. Number 3. The soak time nobody respects. Most tutorials show a 30-second spray and wipe, then call it done. That's nowhere near enough. Japanese technicians follow a strict 15-minute minimum soak for the cable ends, where grime and old lubricant tend to collect the most. There's a reason for the wait. Old lubricant thickens over time and behaves almost like dried honey. It needs sustained contact with a cleaning agent to loosen rather than just a quick rinse. Testing on cables removed after a 5-minute clean versus a 15-minute soak showed the shorter clean left visibly darker residue when pulled apart, while the 15-minute soak came out almost clear. The protocol calls for submerging just the cable ends in the solution and letting gravity and time do the work, no scrubbing needed. Rushing this step is the single most common reason a fresh, clean cable feels no different a week later. Number 4. The compressed air mistake. Once a cable is clean, the instinct is to blast it dry with a shop air compressor. That instinct causes damage. Compressor lines carry trace amounts of moisture and oil mist even with a filter installed, and blowing that mist directly into a freshly cleaned cable housing reintroduces contamination in a place that's now harder to reach and inspect. The Japanese method calls for natural air drying, cable hung vertically for at least 30 minutes in a dry, dust-free space, letting gravity pull any remaining moisture down and out through the open ends. If time is tight, a hairdryer on the lowest heat setting held at a distance works, but never anything that forces oily air directly into the sheath. This step alone determines whether the next stage, relubrication, actually works or just seals moisture inside. Number 5. The lubrication ritual most riders skip entirely. Here's what surprises even experienced home mechanics. The type of lubricant matters more than how much is used. Most riders grab whatever general-purpose spray lubricant is sitting in the garage and flood the cable with it. That's a mistake. General-purpose sprays are often too thin. They migrate away from the strands within days and leave the cable dry again by the time it matters. The preferred approach uses a cable-specific lubricant with a slightly higher viscosity, applied through a small cable luber tool that forces the fluid to travel the full length of the housing rather than just coating the visible ends. Only a few drops are needed at a time. applied slowly while working the cable back and forth to help it travel inward. Over-applying doesn't help, it just attracts more dust to the outer sheath. A proper cable luber costs around $10 and can be reused indefinitely. If you've been enjoying the video so far, we would really appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel, as it helps us to grow. Number 6. The adjustment mistake that undoes everything. After cleaning and lubricating, most riders reconnect the cable and immediately crank the adjuster as tight as it'll go, assuming tighter means more responsive. That assumption causes premature wear. Over-tightening removes the natural slack the cable needs to flex through steering movement, and that constant tension is what causes strand fatigue at the ends. The exact failure point riders blame on age when it was actually caused by adjustment. The Japanese standard calls for roughly 2 to 3 millimeters of free play measured at the lever, checked with the handlebars turned fully in both directions, not just centered. Getting this wrong is one of the leading causes of a clutch cable snapping mid-ride, usually at the worst possible moment. Number 7. The housing inspection everyone forgets. Before reinstalling a freshly cleaned cable, almost nobody checks the housing guides and clutch lever pivot for hidden debris. When a cable is removed, dust and old grease tend to settle into these guide points, and reinstalling a clean cable into a dirty guide just reintroduces the same problem within a week. The fix takes under 2 minutes. A quick wipe of the guide channel and a small dab of lithium grease at the pivot point, nothing near the cable strands themselves. Riders who skip this step often report their freshly cleaned clutch feeling gritty again almost immediately, and mistakenly assume the cleaning method failed rather than the reinstallation. Number 8. The routing detail nobody mentions. How the cable is routed back through the frame matters just as much as how it was cleaned. A cable pulled too tight through a sharp bend creates a stress point that wears through the outer sheath from the inside, invisible until it finally cracks open. The Japanese approach follows the cable's natural, gentle arc, rather than the shortest path between 2 points, even if that means slightly more slack showing at the frame. This single habit is one of the biggest differences between cables that last 2 years and ones that last 8, and it costs absolutely nothing to get right. It just takes patience during reassembly. Number 9. The break-in period after cleaning. Once everything is reconnected, most riders hop on and ride exactly as they normally would. That's a mistake, because a freshly lubricated cable needs a short period to distribute that lubricant evenly along its length. The recommended approach is a few minutes of slow, low-speed riding with deliberate, full-range clutch pulls, engaging and disengaging fully rather than just feathering it, to help work the fresh lubricant through the entire strand bundle. Skipping this and going straight into aggressive riding can leave dry spots that reintroduce friction within days, undoing much of the cleaning process. Number 10. The maintenance frequency that changes everything. Here's the most counterintuitive part of the entire method. Clean and relubricate the clutch cable roughly every 3,000 miles, regardless of whether it feels stiff or not. Most riders wait until the clutch pull already feels heavy or notchy before doing anything, but by that point, internal wear has usually already started. Frequent, gentle maintenance prevents the buildup that eventually requires aggressive cleaning or a full replacement. It's the same logic as regular chain lubrication. Small, consistent effort beats occasional deep intervention. A full clean and re-lube takes under 30 minutes once the routine is familiar, and the cost of doing it regularly is a fraction of what a snapped cable costs in both parts and a tow. Across all 10 steps, the pattern is consistent. The damage isn't caused by mileage or age, it's caused by rushed cleaning, the wrong products, and skip steps that seem too minor to matter. A clutch cable maintained this way can easily outlast the factory recommendation by tens of thousands of miles, while the version most riders follow quietly wears the cable down from the inside without ever showing an obvious warning sign. Before heading out, hit that subscribe button if this kind of breakdown is useful. It genuinely helps this channel keep making videos like this one. Ride safe and take care of that clutch.